Hey, greetings, everybody. This is John Morgan, and I'm with my colleague Tim Hargrove, and we are presenting our first Economic Empowerment MasterClass. And this is the first MasterClass of 4 MasterClasses on this topic. Each MasterClass will have 6 lessons, and we are pumped up, man. How you feeling,
We're excited.
Tim?
Yeah, we're excited. We've been waiting for a long time to get this teaching in a recorded form, and so we're super excited to be sharing it with you guys today.
Yeah, we are. I mean, yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a long time coming, a lot of research, a lot of work, a lot of teaching, both in the US and around the world. And now getting to the point where we are producing it in master classes. I'm excited. When we say economic empowerment, what we mean by that is that people have the knowledge and the skills to grow their income and their wealth so that they can fund their lives. And we believe and fund their purposes. And we believe when people do that, that's how they change the world. So this is big stuff, man. This is big stuff that we're doing here.
Yeah, lives and purpose. Those are 2 good things that we all want more of in our life. And our course definitely helps people with that, John. And we've seen it happen in so many people's lives over and over and over again.
Yeah, we really have. And I think you and I both, we're not young punks anymore. And we've done this a long time, and we're at a point in our lives where we don't want to dabble in the things that only make incremental change in people's lives. We really feel we're called to do the transformational. What are the transformational truths that when you get them and you practice them, it really changes your life? So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. We want to do the big stuff and things that we can devote our lives to. And this is definitely that kind of work and this kind of a topic. It's that important.
So let me go to share some graphics that we want to share with you, and just to kind of emphasize a little bit of what we're talking about. Tim and I have worked together in pastoral ministry for 23 years, plus another year together here at PPI. And so we've worked together for 24 plus years now, but for at least 20 of those years, we've been teaching these principles and practices, and what we see the results happen. Not only have these results happen in our life, and they have, because we've done them too.
Yeah.
But we see them happen in a lot of people's lives, both in the US, around the world. So things like clarity on life purpose. That's a big one. I mean, just how many people do you know that, they know what they do for a living, but they don't know what they're living to do? Just not really. So help with that. New self-confidence to do greater things. We've seen a lot of people go and get the education that they needed to fulfill their purpose. Not everybody has to get formal education, but everybody has to learn something in their field and keep learning, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen people pursue career goals. We've seen people buy and become the owners of good properties that build wealth. We've seen people grow businesses that multiply wealth. And we've seen these people fund ministries and fund charities, and really the most important things that there are in life. So, gosh, not a whole lot of things bigger than that.
No, when you get the why right in your life, which is the purpose, the more clarity you get on the why, it just seems like it motivates these other steps to happen in your life as well.
Yeah, agreed. So one of the things I want to clarify is that this is for everybody everywhere in the world. We have taught this in Africa. We have taught it in India. We've taught it in Asia. We've taught it in Latin America. We've taught it in the Caribbean, and we've taught it in the United States. And these principles work everywhere. I mean, if people have relative freedom, then these principles work. These are the principles of economic cause and effect. They're timeless. And look, we know because of the research and because of the practical on the ground work that not just us, but a lot of groups have done. It is clear now, we know what causes poverty and we know what causes prosperity. And they're rooted in these principles that we are going to be teaching. So, the global impact of what we're teaching to me is another exciting prospect, because I think of our friends in the Philippines. I think of our friends in India and Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean. I see their faces and I think of their lives, and I'm excited for them to have access to it also.
Yeah, it's super exciting to see it take place, John. And it's true, after seeing people in different kinds of conditions see change happen in their life, that's something that's very motivating to us, because you can often say, well, my situation can't change. And I just don't believe that anymore. I believe that everybody can see progress made in their life.
So there's
changes can happen for anyone.
Yeah, no, that's right. There's a friend of ours that joined us in one of our podcasts recently, and he was inspiring to both of us because of his story of applying these principles. Would you give us kind of a summary of this guy and his story?
Yeah, his name is Ryan Kimbrell, and Ryan is a guy that I've known now for about 6 years. So in 2012, against my own will, I started a men's group, and that men's group grew into a men's program that was involved with our church.
And you probably will mention this, but it met at 5:30 in the morning, which may have been one of the reasons why it was not, you were not terribly excited with this assignment. But
well, even with me, that was not super exciting. So yeah, I had to be down there early. I'm opening up. I'm thinking, why would anybody come and do this? So we started with 8 guys, and pretty soon it grew to about 100 guys, and it went on from there. So there was a business in our community that had an executive team that showed up on the first day, and they just happened to sit. These 3 guys happened to sit at my table. And they were with a large business in our area, and we'd never met. They'd been going to our church some, but I'd never met them. So we sit down together at a table, and we began talking. And I realized really quickly we connected with each other really well. And then over time, this one group brought about 80 of their employees to this program. And so I thought, well, that's just crazy. I mean, who does that? And so one of these guys was Ryan Kimbrell, and he came in a few years in. Actually, Johnny came in, and he was a part of the executive team of this company. Young guy, mid-20s. He had some challenges in his background, but he was really trying to learn and grow, hungry to have a different life than the one he grew up in. And as he told me his story, I realized he'd been a little beat up, and there'd been some real challenges there.
Yeah.
So he comes in and begins to work in the auto industry in our area, and he was had some limiting beliefs that he didn't even know that he had. So that's one of the funny things about limiting beliefs is they just kind of sneak up on you. You don't know that you have them until someone identifies them. As we began to talk about those, he's like, oh my gosh, I have all of these. And if you listen to our interview on our podcast, you'll hear him talk about a little bit this transformation of mindset that had to happen. So one of the things that happened, John, was he just made the commitment that he was going to be there week after week after week. And he's sitting down with a group of guys, and we're talking through these principles of life and business and manhood and leadership and prosperity and all of these areas. Well, he just begins like a sponge, taking it all in. And all of a sudden I see him starting to leave those limiting beliefs behind. And where it shows up is when you get new confidence in your life.
Yeah.
So he's taking these real steps. He's growing. He's advancing with the company. He's creating greater value in the organization that he's working with. And he's telling me about it, but he's also growing in relationships in his life. And
wow. Let me interrupt for just a second. By his own admission, he was saying, he was really going through a holistic process of personal growth. It was spiritual, it was mental and intellectual, it was social, it was economic, it was everything. It's like every part of life, God was working in his life to make transformation. So it was cool to hear him talk about it.
Well, and so in my view, that's just one of the unique features of our program is that we hit all those many different areas in this area of empowerment. And look, he just took it on. And so after he had a lot of success, John, in the auto industry as a career, and then his family had this farm in Oklahoma, and they said, and it was in rough shape. And this was kind of a part of their family legacy. And they basically turned to him and said, we want you to take this over and see what you can do with it. And he became a farmer, and very different than what he was doing. But he had learned all these things now. And he had, again, this new level of confidence, which was good, and a much stronger faith because he needed it, because the risk was high in farming. And he goes out, he takes over this farm. They have to make all these changes. It was a dry farm. Well, he learned very quickly, they're not going to be able to grow things at a high level and make it highly productive without water. They drill wells. He has to learn about the industry. They learn about what products they ought to be growing and selling, who to sell them to. Bring up that picture of him, John. There's a picture of him. So this is after his 1 year of working in this new field. This was all dirt, okay, when he started, and look at it now.
Yeah.
When you look at that, John, what does that make you think when you see him standing out there in the middle of that crop?
That he's outstanding in his field. Well, I don't know. What does it make? It's such a great metaphor for everything we're talking about. We're not telling everybody you need to be a farmer, but in some way we're telling everybody you act like a farmer, and you plant seeds, and you create value, and you grow new things that are going to have value and create value. So that's what I think of.
Yeah. So when you apply the principles that we're teaching, you're going to get a result. It's just a part of the law of cause and effect, sowing and reaping. And he got a result. So he went out, he did it, he got a result, and we laugh with him now about it. And we're super excited about what's happening in his life. But that's what we want for all of our listeners. When I look at that picture, that's a picture to me of abundance and of blessing.
Yeah.
And gosh, I want that for everybody that's listening to us today. Yeah. I want you, in whatever field you're working in, or whether it's in your family or in your relationships in your life, I just want you to look at it one day and say, wow, it's really been blessed. And it's so different now. And we've seen it, and that's what we want.
So Ryan has kind of a natural aptitude and talent for business. He also has a business college education. And he knew the auto industry business, and he was making a really good living there.
Yeah.
He brought that raw capability over to the farming industry, and he was on a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
He had to learn all kinds of stuff, but he made some really good business moves. He knew where to get his loans. I mean, he was saying you only get 1 or 2 paychecks a year in this business. Everything else is money out the door, and it's borrowed money, and you're at risk. It's scary stuff. But he made some really good business moves. And one of the smartest things that he did is not only did he expand the whole operation of what they could produce, but he pre-negotiated the sale of their crop to some feedlots. What this crop that he's raising is called silage, and it's a high nutrition feed for cattle. And so before they even planted it, they had a contract for the purchase price and who's going to buy it. That's pretty darn smart. And but it's a guy bringing together all the little pieces that God's put in his life and said, how can I take it to a new level? And what he made last year was multiple times more than what he was making in the auto industry.
Well, the thing I want to encourage our listeners on, John, is this. You have to put yourself into a path where you're going to grow. You have to learn, you have to grow, you have to keep trying new things, taking new risks. And he did that. And the group environment was very helpful to him, because you're talking through these principles with other men. who some were further along than him, some were just starting, but it's a journey. So you get into this path where you're learning and growing, and you're testing out new ideas and principles, and until you get the confidence really just to step out there and do it.
Yeah,
And he had great mentoring as well.
and we're watching several people who were in those groups that you were training in that auto group. We're seeing a number of them. There are now on an upward track. They're not all farmers. They're doing it in different ways, but yeah, no, it's cool stuff.
It's good stuff.
So let me move us on to talk about what the content of these economic empowerment master classes looks like. So the master classes, there's 4 of them. We call them 101, 201, 301, and 401. Each one has 6 lessons that make it up. So the whole series of MasterClass lessons comes out to 24 lessons. The first one is free. The next ones are paid for, and PPI provides these master classes to people in high poverty areas around the world for free. So in the West, in the US and in the West, we charge for them. But when we're places like Africa, this picture over here is a picture of me teaching at a church in Nairobi, Kenya, in East Africa. And that was we're teaching it and we're delivering it free there because of the income we received both from donations and these classes. So we want you to know that when you pay for your master classes, you partner with PPI in its mission to lead 1 million people out of poverty by 2030. But that's the overview of it. The next part I want you to know is this picture right here captures, we try to take concepts that some people might think are a little bit complicated, but they're really quite simple. And even though they're simple, most people do not know them and do not understand them. And so we've captured it in this picture right here. As we build out our master classes, we're going to explain what each parts of this picture means. So we're going to be teaching 3 principles. This represents one, and then this one, and this one. And we're going to be teaching you 10 very understandable practices, step by step. What do you do? So this is the first one. And you may be at a point in your life where you can put all these together in just a few years. For some people, they may need to spend 10 years really focusing on this one. And then another 10 years or so before they can really practice this one well. And then maybe another 10 years before they can practice. It's different for different people. People are on a different track, but it becomes powerful. The first principle alone can change your life. If you will learn it, if you will practice it, if you will teach it to your children, I'm telling you, it's life-changing. The cycle builds momentum. You start to get more income and more wealth the more you go through this cycle. And then when you recycle it, it gets even stronger for the next time. You get stronger in this part. And this, in other words, you're making more money and you're building more wealth at a whole new level. Imagine this being a circle that goes high. Every time you go around, it goes higher and higher and higher. That is what a virtuous cycle does. It is a cycle of good that keeps creating good. And then I want you to know that the prosperous families of the world know this and they do this. It's kind of like we're bringing you in on the big secret in the world. The poor do not know this. The non-prosperous do not know this. But the prosperous people and the prosperous families of the world, they know this. They teach it to their children. And they try to recycle it into their next generation as their children are moving on. During the last holidays between Christmas and New Year's Day, in the middle of that week, we had what we called a family chapel, and we brought all of our family, all of our kids and grandkids, and son-in-law and daughter-in-law, and that whole bunch. We brought them all together one night for a family chapel. We had worship time, and we had a biblical lesson that really came in and showed how these principles are rooted not only in economics, but also in the Bible, and just really challenging our family to what has God called us to do here that really funds the purpose that we all have to help change the world. So it's a very big thing for the life and the trajectory of your family. Tim, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I spent the month of November teaching some of these principles to a group in the Philippines. And first of all, their response was amazing. And there were leaders there of business, leaders there of denominations, leaders in different ministry and educational fields. And we got a great response. And the reason is, John, when we teach this, when people start hearing it, they understand, I get it. I see it. I see what needs to happen. I see what other people are doing that creates economic growth and development in their life. And then, of course, they begin to want those practices to begin to do those things themselves. And so, again, because we've taught people in different places, we know for sure this works in people's lives, and it gives them a lot of encouragement to move forward.
The people that you were teaching, they were sharp people. Most of them were college educated. They had all had received ministry training. They've had quite a bit of Christian type instruction and training. But one of the responses that I thought was really cool is how they were saying to you, we've never heard this before.
Right.
This is new information to us. And not only is it new information, but we need this. Right. It's key to our lives. It's key to our purpose. So yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so let me move on to our training manual for our master classes. It's called Create, Own, Grow. It's a book that I've written with some others who've helped me edit it. This is the front cover. This is the back cover. It's a 49-page, full color, fully illustrated book. And so we want to show you how you can get it. You can get it from Amazon.com. You can get a digital copy from our website. We also give free samples of it. The e-samples are 7 of the best pages of the book. You can get that free from us on our website. We also provide these free to people in high poverty communities around the world. And when you pay for your manual, you're helping us again. You're partnering with us in our mission to lead 1 million people out of poverty by 2030. Other resources that are available when you go onto our website and you select the master classes are lesson notes, the lesson PowerPoint, lesson discussion questions, and there's always an assignment that we ask you to do between one class and when you take the next class. There's a lesson test. Not everybody's going to want to do the lesson test, but if you are interested in becoming a certified trainer of our economic empowerment and leadership master classes, we want you to take the tests and to pass those tests at a certain level. And we'll also make these available in audio version of the lesson. So if you want to listen to them like a podcast when you're exercising or driving down the road or on your walk, you can do that. All right. So these master classes, this is a really big point because we want you to learn them in the most powerful way to really learn them well and change your life. These master classes are designed to be studied in small groups. So I'm going to ask Tim to really kind of weigh in on this and beginning, why are we really trying to push as many people as we can that, yes, you could take these by yourself, but we really want to challenge you to take it in a small group. And so here are the reasons why. First one, Tim, why don't I have you take it and we'll go through these reasons.
Well, this interactive adult learning is big. Okay, so I've taught many classes, and I'm not against classroom learning, but I've also led hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of groups and set people up to do hundreds of groups. And I can tell you, John, when people are in an interactive learning environment, they learn more. They talk more, they engage more, they talk about the principles and the practices. They talk about their obstacles that they're dealing with in their life. They're dealing with that and learning at I think you just grasp the material at a much higher level. And I use, again, Ryan Kimbrell as an example. He had stepped into an interactive adult learning environment. He'd been in many classroom settings, but that was really the first interactive environment.
Yeah. All his college business education, not one of those classes had the life transformational that he got in his group learning in the classes you led him through. No. So yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah. The other is encouragement, because look, let's be honest. Some fear pops up, some feelings of inadequacy. You have some risks or steps that you need to take. You feel like, man, can I take it? And along the way, things happen, life keeps happening, and you need encouragement. And so these groups encourage each other. Encouragement means you give courage to one another. And I love watching a group come together and they're literally giving each other courage to keep taking the steps that they need to take to get new results in their life.
Yeah.
So that's big. Number
Yeah.
3 is accountability. Look, we need to have some positive accountability in our life. So most of us think of accountability, we kind of see it as a negative. And I want to really flip that and say, use accountability as a positive. Accountability is what a coach does when he's coaching a football team to be better.
Mhm.
He's holding them accountable for the practices and the steps that they need to take. But again, you can do it. You may have experienced accountability in a negative way. We're wanting to put you in a group environment where you just keep experiencing accountability in a positive form. It's a part of the encouragement, but you're also being challenged to actually do something, to take action and not stay the same.
Yeah.
And number 4 is the result.
Yeah.
Life change. And so listen, one of the reasons I got involved with groups and group dynamics many years ago, in fact, when I did my my work in graduate school, I did my master's program on group dynamics, both in the nonprofit and the business setting. And I did that because I wanted to create these environments where people could have these 4 things happen. And so we're trying to do that, John, in our work as well. We believe it's powerful. There are different types of groups. You might experience it in a church setting where there's small groups of classes. You might invite friends and family to come together. I have done this in multiple business settings. One company I worked with, John, we did 80 group sessions with their employees in 6 months. We do it in government agencies, schools, and of course, missions and nonprofit organizations are near and dear to our heart. And so we provide the economic empowerment training there.
Yeah, a lot of missions organizations and nonprofits around the world that are working in high poverty areas are realizing that while there is a place for charity, charity does not solve poverty,
Right.
but economic empowerment does. So they understand that economic empowerment is necessary to solve poverty, but they don't really have the tools to teach it. And so our master classes can be a great tool for them to use for that process. So why don't you walk us through the how-to, that if somebody's like, okay, how do I do it? Let me ask you to walk us through that.
Yeah, well, the first thing is you have to invite some people, okay? And I've said this 1,000 times, if you invite them, they will come. And especially if you've been nice to them.
Yeah.
And then tempt them with food, right?
Yeah.
Tempt them with food.
Yeah.
Invite them, select a time and a place. Don't make it hard. Groups can meet in restaurants, they can meet in homes, they can meet in business settings. But you clarify it. Here's when and where we're going to meet. The third one is to get the training manual and the lesson notes and get started with it. And so with the group that I met with in the Philippines, we made sure everybody had the training manual and the notes. Watch the MasterClass lessons together. That's part of the dynamic of it, is you're getting that information at the same time. And then use our discussion guide. We'll give you questions that help you get the ball rolling and get our how-to. So we've been training people how to do group settings and group experiences for a long time. So we'll provide you through our website. You can get our small group how-to guide. You may feel like you're not confident to teach or to stand up in front of a group, but I've discovered that everyone is capable of helping to lead a group discussion and create a group and lead a group through this content. Anybody can do it. Yeah,
great stuff. Hey, let me move to the topic of the pricing of our master classes. And as we do that, I want to just talk to you a little bit about our philosophy on several things and really our spirit and our ethic. And that is, and it really comes to a promise that we have, and that is we promise to give you high value for your money or your money back. And we don't, that's not just a gimmick for us. If you buy any of our resources, master classes or books or things that we are offering, and you feel like, yeah, that wasn't worth my money, man, all you got to do is drop us a message, an email or a text or a call. And man, we will send you a refund check, because we do not want anybody walking away, with buyer's remorse. We want you to be super happy. And I don't know, I probably shouldn't say this, but really, let me tell you what our spirit is. Our spirit is, we want to give you more than you give us. Yeah. And we just kind of want to have that challenge with you, that we just going to feel like, yeah, you're like, man, I got more than I paid for on that. So when we talk about our series of the 4 classes, here's where we value our series. We value our series at $600. And let me tell you how we get to that. We compare that. We did that by comparing it to one college class. So the average cost of one college class for one semester in America is over $1,200. When we compare what you learn and how it will impact your life, these 24 lessons compared to one college class, I'll tell you right now, I mean, Tim and I know college, and both of us have graduate degrees, and we spent a lot of time in formal institutional training. I never had a single class that changed my life in college the way this material has changed my life and the way I see it change. In fact, I see people all around the world who have college degrees who do not have economic empowerment. They have college degrees, but they do not know how to grow their income, and they do not know how to grow their wealth and fund their purpose. Yeah. And so the value, so we just said, look, it's worth more than a college class, but we're not going to charge that. Let's charge half that. So that was our starting point. And then we give you the initial master class that we're doing right now. It's free. And by the way, this is going to be the release date when all of this masterclass, all 6 lessons, will be available on our website. Then each individual class, and we value it at $150. If you were to consider this is worth $150 and these are all $150, that's where you get your $600. But we're going to give you this one free. If you buy them individually, this is the price for each one. If you bundle them all together, we'll let you have it for $300. So that would have been $450 for those. That one's free. That's even cheaper. Obviously, you can bundle the whole thing for $300. Plus, we'll throw in the digital power book, which is worth $995. I feel like an infomercial here. And folks, God is my witness. I'm not trying to be an infomercial. We are trying to give you a great deal. Yeah. So here's what we're doing. We are, as we are recording this, we are in the season right now in the year 2022 where we are creating and releasing and launching these classes. So these are the release dates for each one. February 1, March 1, April 1, May 1. That's when that entire masterclass will be released. So we have a pre-launch special going on right now. That pre-launch special will be good until May 1st. Once they're all loaded and it's launched and we are going, we will give you the whole enchilada bundle. You can tell I was raised in El Paso. That's because I like to talk about the whole enchilada.
Enchiladas.
I know. We will give you the whole enchilada for $100, man. And I'm telling you, I just screaming deal, but you would be buying it probably before it all rolls out. We will be releasing them week by week, so that honestly, if you could go ahead and start your small group, and the production will keep up. If you meet once a week, the production would keep up with you as you're going through all of it. So that's where we're at. You can obviously do it on our website. You go to resources and the master classes, and that's our price.
Can I throw in one reminder? And just remember, for every class that you participate in, you're actually helping some people in another part of the world be able to go through the courses as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, that's right. So we target the highest poverty areas in the world where we go in and do training. Obviously, they don't have funds. I mean, they're scraping for survival and just getting by. So the paid courses make it possible for us to do the nonprofit work that God has called us to do. And we're excited how that whole thing comes together.
Yeah.
Tim, just your commentary on, we trying to give you more than you're giving us. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think we do. And that's our heart. That's the spirit of what we're trying to do is we're trying to create value and give value. I had a member contacted me this morning, John, from the Philippines through Facebook. And here was the comment. They said, "Thank you for giving value to our organization." And that meant a lot to me, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, "Thank you, you're an awesome teacher." It was, "Thank you for creating value for our organization." And
Yeah.
so that's the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish here. And I can tell you, in my heart, I want thousands and thousands of people to go through the courses and experience the change that Ryan Kimbrell has experienced, and many others that we'll be talking about over time. You're going to hear a lot of stories about people who've experienced great change.
Yeah. So as we're getting ready to move towards the end of this masterclass, I do want to talk about one other story. We talk about Ryan's story. We showed his picture. Let me tell you one other story. This is from a friend of ours in Kenya, East Africa, and where we have been working for a number of years, have some great friends where just great things are happening in their lives. But one of the women that I just love her story. She's a lady named Madu Owino, and she's part of a great family there in Kenya. And she was part of the team that was supporting our missions team, and has every time we've taken missions teams over to Kenya, and she would gather a group of young women together who would cook our meals, and they'd help take care of us in the houses where we were lodging, and just the different things that we needed. And she attended this masterclass training. It was a jammed 1-day seminar that went all day out in the eastern Kenya in a city called Kisumu. There were about 200 or 300 people that were being trained that day. And she sat there, man, she listened very closely. She took notes over those 3 principles and were the actions that you do on those 3 principles. And she left that training with a commitment she was going to do it. And you would have to really appreciate, you need to understand her background. I'm going to tell you more about her life down the road in these master classes. But let me just tell you, she was raised in an African village in extreme poverty. It was very difficult for her. As an adult, she had found her way to where she and her husband were doing pretty well. And in fact, as a young woman, she was smart and she was able to get into college. She did well in college. She had a good college degree. But the problem in Kenya is, like all over Africa, there's all kinds of smart college graduates who don't have a job because there's just not that many good jobs available. So she had struggled most of her adult life to really find that spot where she could grow her income and grow wealth and really fund the things that were the most important to us. To make the long story short, let me just say that since she took that class and began applying that class, she has started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 businesses. When I was there in let's see, it was March of 2020, just before all the COVID restrictions began to happen around the world and in Kenya, I trained 30 people who were her employees and some people she was trying to recruit into her businesses for several days. So she's developed 5 businesses. She's purchased 2 pieces of property. She's purchased a car. In her community, most women do not drive. And certainly most women do not own a car. And what was kind of funny is that when she went to buy these properties, and when she went to buy that car, she didn't even ask her husband for money because she had created the money for that herself. And her brother-in-law sent me an email telling me about it. He thought it was hilarious that his brother-in-law's wife, that his brother's wife was out buying property, starting businesses, buying cars. And man, that's empowerment. That is empowerment anywhere in the world, but that is super empowerment if you're talking about an African nation where there's high poverty. So let me show you a picture of our friends there. Here we are. Boom, and move forward from this slide. This is Madhu right here. This is her brother-in-law Shem. This is her brother-in-law Collins, and this young man's name is Brian. So the story is this field that they're standing in, she and Brian grew up as an orphan on the streets in Kenya. She hired Brian to work in one of her businesses. He's a salesman and he does really well with it. Man, very sweet kid. And then she and Brian went in together. They bought this agricultural field, and now they work it as a farm business. So they are tasting part of their first crop, which was sweet potatoes. And in their first year of production, they cleared $2,000 US, which, I mean, in Africa, that's a fortune with in the kind of community that they're in. And so, I mean, it's changed her life. She's changing this guy's life. Yeah. Both of them, in fact, all four of them, if you could hear their stories of this is my life purpose, and you could hear the things that God is using in their life to fund their lives and to fund their life purpose. There's just so many good things, but I don't want to rob my thunder for later stuff. I want to tell you about each one of them, how God is changing their lives. So I'm telling you, it works. It works because they're principles. You know, principles are timeless and they don't change. Practices change, cultures change, styles change, but principles don't change, and they really work. So yeah, as we're wrapping it up, Tim, why don't you kind of give a little bit of a wrap to those that this is their first class and they're either studying this by themselves, or they already have their group together, or maybe they don't have a group together yet, but they're feeling like, okay, I got to get my group. Would you kind of wrap it up for them, what they need to do?
Yeah. So listen, you know, of course, invite your group. Okay. There's people around you that you care about. They need to hear these principles as much as you do. And so make an investment in some other people right from the get-go and say, let me make sure I get my group together. We want you to do the discussion questions that are in the guide. And we want you to work on the assignment. So there's an assignment there for each one. We want you to do it each week. Come back to your group and open your group by talking about, well, how did that go? What did you learn from doing the assignment? Most of the assignments are a way for you to really spark your thinking and your growth, okay? And so when you come back to the group, share what you're learning, how you're growing. It's part of that empowerment and that encouragement that you're going to need to give to each other along the way. And when you do it, good things are going to happen, just like the people we've talked about today.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping up this masterclass, I want to wrap it up by pronouncing a blessing on all of you. And as we go deeper into the masterclasses, I'm going to explain more about how this blessing that we use, what it means, and how it came about. But we use it a lot for a lot of our teaching sessions. So the blessing goes like this. We want you to now go forth and conquer. So I'm going to go forth and conquer. Tim, are you going to go forth and conquer?
I'm going to go forth and conquer, brother.
Yes, sir. And we're calling you to go forth and conquer. So God bless everybody, and we'll see you next time.